are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on Cowboys. Locked on Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. And joining me today, as always, is Landon McCool. You can check him out on Twitter at McCoolBCB. You can also listen to him on the Best Coast Boys podcast. Landon, today's Tuesday, but I just want to say I forgot how nice a Victory Monday is in the NFL. Like, there's just nothing better in the world than having a Monday when your team wins. How you doing today, buddy?
I concur 100%. I think it's been a long time. It hasn't been a long time since, we won a football game, but like we mentioned before, it's been a long time since we won a football game and felt good about it.
A meaningful football game.
A meaningful football game. So yeah, it really was nice to kind of go into the week, not with that, impending sense of dread of having to watch the game and deal with it. And so it's a great feeling. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it rolling.
I will say that feeling of the Cowboys are, they played well and everything's going well lasted about, an hour before it's, well, what are they going to do when they lose Kellen Moore this offseason to a head coach? So, the Cowboys are awesome. This is why we love this team so much. There's just always so much to talk about. And we're going to get into a lot of it today, Landon. We're going to talk about some of the All-22 notes that at least I had. And I kind of want you to react to some of these things. I got a chance to sit down and watch it this morning. I spent about 3 hours watching it. And here's my biggest takeaway from the game. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Justin Herbert is really, really good. I know that's not a Cowboys thing, but honestly, that was the most impressive thing for me from the game is some of the throws that he made were just absolutely ridiculous. That one throw over the top of Trevon Diggs where he barely got a finger on it. I honestly don't know if another quarterback in the league could make that throw. I just thought he was really, really good.
Trevon Diggs is already, this is his second year in the league, but that was another very late in his career welcome to the NFL moment. Like, I think he was in a position where he thought he was good because, who could make a throw like that? But in the NFL, there are a couple folks who can make a throw like that, maybe three, maybe four.
There was another play that he had. I believe it was Bradley and I got the pressure, and he was rolling out to his right-hand side, falling away 50 yards on a line. No air under the ball at all to Keenan Allen right on the sideline. It's like, are you kidding me? I know Charger fans, you lost, but you won long-term because Justin Herbert is a star.
I'll tell you this. My main takeaway from rewatching this, is that the Cowboys defense played well.
They did.
It wasn't just one or two players that played well. There were several different guys who had really, really good games. And I think that, the points kind of reflect that. But I even think that, outside of some absolute heroics by Herbert on some third downs, the Cowboys defense, they were basically as good as you could hope for. Basically what you were hoping for when facing Herbert. So, hats off to them as well. Obviously Herbert made it look a lot more balanced and a lot more even in this game because he just pulled off some absolute heroics. And again, I get that. Was it 2018 Philly vibe, right? Where they were just atrocious on first and second down, and the Cowboys defense was swarming and limiting them. And then they would get into, and then the Dallas defense would force penalties. There's so many forced holds and different penalties that were not just errors. They were forced by the Dallas defense. And then, Herbert comes in at 3rd and 17 or 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 8, makes some ridiculous throw and bails them out. So I think Herbert was so good that it kind of suppressed what was a very good defensive performance by Dallas.
All I know is the AFC is going to get really sick of Justin Herbert because once they build that offensive line around him, and they've done a good job so far, he's going to be almost unstoppable because his arm and athleticism and accuracy is so good. All right, my biggest Cowboy takeaway, Landon, is actually this guy right here. If you can't see this on the video, I'm pointing to Zack Martin.
He's right there.
Zack Martin, according to PFF, was the highest graded player of the week by any position, just the highest graded player they've seen. And I have to say, Landon, that might have been the best game I've ever seen Zack Martin play. I mean, he was phenomenal in the run game, just opening up massive holes. If you get a chance to rewatch it, watch the one play where they give CeeDee Lamb the handoff in the backfield. Okay, he just mauls his guy like 30 yards down the field. I was a little bit worried that Martin would have some after effects from COVID, from having some of this time off. Nope, he looks healthy and refreshed. I thought he was phenomenal.
You think Zack Martin got it bad? I'd like to see what COVID got right now at this point. I mean, COVID got Zack Martin apparently. The touchdown
was
Zeke,
incredible.
He got across the face of the defender and then just turned him around like they were dance partners.
Yes,
like it was
yes.
Absolutely ridiculous. Look, I think I could be wrong, but not to kind of further. I'm pretty sure that not only was Zack Martin the highest rated player across the board this week, isn't he right now currently the highest? That game was the highest rated game of the year so far.
Yeah, he has the highest graded performance by any player according to PFF. Yeah. So not bad.
I mean, again, PFF grades, especially with offensive linemen.
It matches though from what we saw on tape.
But that matches for sure. Yeah, that matches for sure. But I mean, obviously, just to speak quickly about the offensive line of Zack Martin, I obviously he dominated. He looked fantastic. He whether it was giving help to Biotish, whether it was helping Terrance Steele out there, he just really, I mean, he's the glue. He's the guy that brings this whole offensive line together. The way that the offensive line was playing on Sunday, that's the trademark that this Cowboys offensive line has, their calling card. That's the way that they've been trying to play for years. Injuries have derailed it at different points. Some different bad substitutions, bad play, different guys coming in and out. This was the first time in a while that I felt like the Cowboys offensive line played like we were expecting them to. And even without La'el Collins, I thought Terrence Steele, I mean,
let's save him. We're going to get to him in a second because I got some thoughts on him.
But just overall, I thought, just to kind of sum up, the offensive line played outstanding football and just really allowed and provided for the Cowboys to play kind of a left-handed game plan for them, kind of a game plan that I think this is an offense that can do anything and win a game any way that you need to. But I would definitely say that this is probably the formula that they might be the least comfortable with just because they haven't, availed themselves of it in a long time. They've been mostly a pass-first team. So it was really good to see that they could switch it up and still have success.
Yeah, I want to talk about Terrance Steele in just a second because I want to spend a lot of time on him. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about BetOnline. We are back and better than ever as all eyes are now turned to the gridiron as teams are back to start another football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season with a new updated site interface and even more odds, props, and contests. BetOnline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football, from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. Just make sure you're using that promo code NFL100. All right, let's talk about Terrance Steele, Landon. So I went back, watched the film, and there was more plays in this game where they left Steele on an island with Bosa than I thought or that I anticipated. Now, Bosa got him a few times, and he's going to get a lot of the guys one-on-one. He's just a really, really good edge rusher. But I thought for the most part, Terrance Steele did not hamper their game plan in the passing game. I want to talk about him as a run blocker in a second, but he wasn't so bad that they had to completely gut their game plan. I thought he was as good as you could expect from a swing tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, we kind of spoke about it, but the PFF grade for his pass blocking was not good. And I don't know that I agree with it. I think that if you go out there and you see what he was able to do, considering he's Terrance Steele, I mean, he's an undrafted offensive tackle that it was flung into the starting lineup absolutely against everybody's will and maybe even his own, for long stretches. And he's going against, maybe the best, if not top three best pass rushers in football. And I thought that the fact that, we were all expecting the Chaz Green game, or people were all expecting the Chaz
a lot of
Green
people are
game.
expecting it just to wreck their offense, right?
He didn't. Not only did he not wreck their offense, Steele won some of those reps, and mostly Joey Bosa was a non-factor in this game. So I think, look, I've watched the game through at least once, and I've paid special attention to that right side the last time I was watching, and I thought that they played as well a game as you can expect considering who was in, and I think that Terrance Steele showed the improvement that Duke Merriweather has been talking about that we hadn't seen yet, that we hadn't seen in his preseason play, that we hadn't seen so far this year. Basically the best that you could say about Terence Steele is that he didn't stick out in a negative way all throughout training camp. It wasn't like you were seeing him being sunned by every pass rusher, but at the same time, the Cowboys, have only a couple pass rushers that you would use as measuring sticks. So we really just had no idea. So for him to come out and have this kind of performance, and really, again, they didn't have to help him nearly as much as we expected they would, and he still was able to kind of hold his own again against one of the best pass rushers in all football.
I thought he was really good in the run game as well, and that's really what I wanted to talk about him, because I thought there was a couple times, Landon, where he just caved in the guy. I mean, just absolutely dominated them, and I think that's what we didn't see from him as a rookie, right? Like we saw him basically be, I don't know, what do you want to say, a average negative player in the run game?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Without a doubt, the area that he's improved the most is in the run game. I mean, simply because it feels like he's got more core strength, he's got a little bit better balance, so he's able to stay upright and get to his targets a little bit more. He just didn't do a ton of run blocking in college. They threw the ball a ton. He had, like I said yesterday, I think, he's had over 1,000 pass sets in college, and that didn't leave a lot of room for run blocking. So, yeah, I mean, last year the problem with him was that his pass blocking was probably a little bit worse than it is now, but his run blocking was even worse than that. And somehow since then, his run blocking has greatly surpassed his pass blocking, and his pass blocking is still a work in progress. So, if we're going to get that kind of run blocking out of Terrance Steele, it makes his, pass blocking shortcomings, which are improving, a lot more palatable when he's out there.
Again, I thought just really, really good in the run game. By far the best I've seen him in his he started 15 games last year, 16 games.
Aggressive and comfortable. Like he looked like he knew what he was doing. He looked like he was out there to dominate guys. Like he wasn't just like going through the motion. Like there was flourish. He was finishing guys. And that's exciting to see.
Speaking of somebody who I thought finished really well, I thought Tyler Biadasz did a really good job as a run blocker on Sunday. He had some really nice plays where he got out into space, where he had some nice combo blocks. My problem with Biadasz, Landon, is there's still too many times where he's just whiffing on the guy directly in front of him. There was a play, I'm trying to think, it might have been Jerry Tillery who lined up right over top of him, and he just whiffed, and Dak had to throw the ball out of bounds. I am a little bit concerned about Biadasz long-term, because over the last 2 weeks, he's given up 9 pressures, 7 hurries. And if we know one thing about Dak is he really struggles when there's pressure right in his face. So are you worried about Biadasz? Are you concerned? What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I think it's still early. He's only started a handful of games. I mean, we keep thinking that he started all of last season, but he didn't. And
only
last
570 career snaps in the NFL.
Yeah, so it's still a work in progress for him. His play has not been fantastic in the pass blocking game specifically. I agree. As a run blocker, he was getting to second level. He was doing what he needed to do for sure. He's still got things to learn as a pass protector. Mm-hmm. The good news is that center is one of those positions that obviously you're between two guards who are, another guy we got to talk about, Conor Williams, man. He's between two guys who are playing really good football, and let's lead it into that conversation. Conor Williams is developing into quite a guard, and I think as much as hand wringing has been going on Conor Williams for the last year and a half, he's quietly gotten better and better and better. he's not Zack Martin yet, but I mean, not that he will become Zack Martin, but I think that he is a guy that continues to improve even in year 4 or 3 now.
Year 4. He's only 24 years old.
Yeah, I think he's and again, another guy who you notice a difference in the attitude, the finish, pushing guys after the play and just being physical. I'm excited about Conor, and I think because of that, I think it gives you a little bit of leeway to allow Biadasz to kind of grow into his role as a pass protector, which, again, you just don't isolate the center a ton. I'm sure defenses will try to do that. They'll try to run some more tight formations, some more mint formations that are just going to overload the center of that offense. But right now I have a lot of confidence in Conor Williams and Zack Martin to be able to kind of compensate for any shortcomings that Biadasz has early on.
Conor Williams has had 101 pass blocking snaps so far this year, Landon. 0 pressures allowed. That's pretty incredible.
That's very good. That's very impressive.
Somebody asked me yesterday what happened with this narrative about Conor Williams is bad. And I just think as fans, if you're not a Pro Bowl player, then a lot of times I think you suck, right? And that's just not the case for offensive linemen, right? I think Conor Williams struggled early on in his career, but has kind of progressively gotten better. He's probably not a top 10 guard in football, but he's not a bottom 10 guard either. I think he's getting closer to above average than average. It's going to present an interesting problem for the Cowboys because you've spent all this time developing this really young guard who's playing well. What do you do with him this offseason, Landon? Do you pay him or do you just let him go and try to slide Conor McGovern over there? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
And we're already trying to figure out what we're going to do in the offseason. That's the most Cowboys thing ever.
Well, I'm saying this is a good thing. This is a good problem to have.
Absolutely. It's a good problem to have. I don't really have a solution for it right now. I think we need to see more of Conor McGovern before we can kind of have a real good answer there. Because
I'm sure we will. Unfortunately, that's just the way the NFL works, right?
That's true. So I think that's probably the answer we need before we can kind of seal Conor Williams' fate on this team.
All right. I want to talk about the defense because I have a lot of thoughts on this defense. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about rockauto.com. It's a family business serving auto parts to customers online for over 20 years. They have everything from engine control modules and brake parts, motor oil, and even new carpet. Whether it's for your classic or your daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brands, specifications, and prices that you prefer. Go to rockauto.com right now to see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com today. Also, quickly want to tell you guys about DirecTV. DirecTV Stream brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So stop waiting and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. All right, Landon, some defensive notes. Micah Parsons, good. Moving on, right?
Moving on. That's it.
I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time on Micah Parsons, but
there's a lot of hyperbole to go over at this point. I mean, just people talking about crazy things about – I mean, not crazy, but just like, look, he's the highest rated pass rate winner for rookies so far this season. I think he was like the highest rated. Now. Yeah, exactly. So – I mean, there's tons of people already talking about all the hyperbole out there. It's exciting, and I don't know how much more there is to add to it.
The next one I want to bring up to you, I know you're going to appreciate it, and I'm really excited for you tonight when you get to go back and rewatch some of the film. But Osa Odighizuwa made a handful of plays in this game, and some of them go on the stat sheet, some of them do not. The sack that Leighton Vander Esch had was actually because of Odighizuwa. He got up the field. There was a tackle for a loss that I don't remember exactly who had it, but it was because Odighizuwa forced Austin Ekeler to bounce outside. There was another time where he got a pressure on Herbert and forced Herbert to throw the ball away.
That first drive.
He played outstanding for a rookie defensive tackle to come in there and make that many plays. I was just really impressed. I just thought he had a really strong game.
I'm excited, man. I love this guy. I think he's got all the tools. He showed you he's got all the tools. There was that, I think that you mentioned that twist that he was a part of, where he came around to the outside and just separated so quickly and then just closed. Yeah, I think he's gonna be a really good player for this team. And you know, it's just crazy. And just kind of to speak to the defense overall, it's just crazy the injection of talent that this team got from free agency and from the draft, right? You know, we haven't really spoken a ton about Curse yet.
Yeah.
But going back, man, Curse played fantastic.
Best game I've ever seen from Javon Curse.
And honestly, you know, there's going to be a conversation on, you know, Wilson versus Curse, and that Curse is going to need to get his snaps too. You know, obviously, I mean, geez, Marcus, when was the last time we had safety depth? I know I keep harping on it, but it's like we were hoping for a good safety last year, you know, and then we got one, and we're like, man, it'd be great to have two great safeties. We legitimately have, I think, four safeties that I feel comfortable playing with, and that I think can go out there and make plays if need be.
Now in different roles, right? I think Curse is certainly better at the line of scrimmage than some of these other guys. Yeah, I like KZ kind of as the deep rover guy. Malik Hooker made a tackle in the backfield, which was pretty impressive. He's probably the furthest away right now just because he hasn't played a lot. Yeah. But for him to even be out there, it was exciting. I do agree with you. The good thing is the Cowboys, because Curse played well and because KZ played well, I think they can be a little bit patient with Donovan Wilson. Like, it's probably not wise to rush him back from the groin injury, right? Like, if he's not ready for Monday, you can just say, hey, let's wait, and we'll try to keep you fresh for week 4. That's where the depth is going to come in handy.
Absolutely. When you don't feel like you have to rush back a guy from a soft tissue injury, you have the luxury of having the depth to, I mean, look, not even the depth just to have a starter in place, but to have a starter and a third in place, even if you're losing one of these guys, that's a luxury. And again, like, kind of going back to what this defense and what this team this year is about, we're full speed ahead on a per game planning offense and defense. There's absolutely zero that has indicated. I mean, frankly, if you go back and listen to the Kellen Moore press conference, he was basically mocking the idea of we're just going to do what we do well and going forward. He was saying this is every week it's going to be different, and it's the same for the defense. And when you're going to do that on the defensive side of the ball, you need to have versatile players that can kind of mix and match to do all the different kinds of things you need to support all the different packages you're going to have. And you've got 4 safeties that between the 4 of them can kind of do a little bit of all. You got a tight end eraser. You've got a box safety. You've got a rangy back end safety. You've got a guy that can do, you know, Hooker when he gets healthy, hopefully can do a little bit of both. And then Wilson, I think, can do a little bit of both. So it's just great to have that versatility on the back end, and it really does. And then the linebackers too. It really does facilitate what you want to do throughout the rest of your defense when you're trying to play kind of a matchup style of defense and offense.
A couple more things on defense. Do you know what Chase Young and Montez Sweat have in common, Landon?
I love this question. No, what do they have in common?
Neither of them got a pressure on Rashawn Slater. Do you know who did get 2 pressures on Rashawn Slater?
Hi, John Owning. Bradley and I did.
Bradley freaking and I did, man. Yeah. Those 2 plays were really good. I posted both of those on Twitter. You guys can go look at them. You know what play actually impressed me more besides those 2 wins? There's a play where he's rushing on that left side, on the right side, and the ball goes to the other side of the field on a play action boot.
Oh, yeah.
And he makes the tackle down the field. Just complete effort, busting his butt to get there. That's the effort Dan Quinn wants his team to play with, because yes, they gained a first down on it, but that could have been a 20-yard gain rather than a 10-yard gain. Those are the plays that are going to add up for the Cowboys.
Absolutely. I mean, and along those lines, can we also give him serious credit for drawing Keenan Allen offsides on that taunting penalty? That was amazing. Like, going back and watching that, and then Anai's eyes when the guy threw the flag, he's like, it was awesome. Yeah. So again, Anai has done nothing other than prove that he belongs out there and that he deserves to be part of this rotation. We even saw Kamara get out there, and get a a pressure and then a tackle. And so I don't know, man. The Cowboys suddenly have an embarrassment of riches at positions that they have never had depth at before. So I really don't know kind of what to say about this. The other thing is, we've talked about Odigizua, but I think, you got some better play, not maybe notable or excellent play, but better play from guys like Carlos Watkins. I think Brent Urban played a better game as well. Quinton Bohanna didn't have a ton of snaps, but when he was in there was effective. So a rising tide raises all boats.
I thought Bohanna was better than those other two, to be honest, though. I was a little bit disappointed with Urban. I thought he would be a more impactful player. He just seems like kind of a guy, to be honest.
Urban's just is a rotational guy who can mix it up in the middle. I mean, the difference is that he's not a liability. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not.
No, but I thought he was going to be a plus run defender at this.
That's
but
fair.
he's getting older. He's not what he was 3 years ago. But I was hoping for him to be a little bit more. I've been a tad disappointed.
That's fair. I just think we needed to stop the bleeding in the run game, and he helps do that. When he's in there, and that's enough for me at this point with a lot of the other play that's going on. So, kudos at least to Watkins, I think, who definitely played a much better game this week than he did last week.
And the last thing I'm going to mention, because we have to end the show with a negative note. It's just a tradition.
Of course.
I thought the linebackers were just okay in this game, even maybe a little bit less than okay. Now, Van Der Esch made a couple big plays.
Van Der Esch played really well.
Van Der Esch drew a holding call.
He drew 3 holding calls. I'm pretty sure.
I know the one for sure in the middle where he just got wrapped up, but he was probably the best of the 3 linebackers. Keanu Neil has not played particularly well the first 2 games of the season. And I don't know if it's just bad mismatches or whatever, but after how well he played in the preseason, I was just a little disappointed. Jalen's kind of Jalen. I don't really need to say more about that. But I thought we would see a better game from them. We did. That's just my opinion.
I think that Jalen had a pretty decent game for him. I mean, he didn't miss any tackles. A couple of the downfield tackles that you don't really give him too much credit for. But there was another time when he was covering Eckler out of the backfield, and he did just fine. And I think with the Keanu Neil, I think he's making the play. He's seeing it. He's pulling the trigger. He's just not tackling well right now.
Yeah, he's not.
He just needs to finish. When he finishes, he's getting tackles for loss. I mean, we've seen it too. It's very boom or bust with Neil right now. Like, you see him pulling the trigger and getting guys for a loss, and then you see him pulling the trigger, hitting the guy and not bringing him down, and then the guy getting like 3 or 4 yards. That part has to stop. And when that part stops, I think you're going to see that Neil's playing good football. But up until then, it doesn't mean anything if you can't make that tackle up front.
What's the best linebacker combination for this team after 2 weeks, Landon? Because I don't know the answer.
I honestly think it depends on what's happening. And I think that's how they feel too. I think, Leighton Van Der Esch is shown that he's playing pretty good football right now. So I'm inclined to include him and Parsons in that list if we're just going to go, generic, who's the best 2 linebackers on this team. I think that if you get Neil getting his tackling back under control, he's certainly in that mix as well. Okay. They have. The good news is they have lots of linebackers who can play at least decent level. So there's not like a shortage there by any stretch of the imagination.
And we know the way the NFL season works. They're going to need to use all of these guys because there's just no way that they're all going to stay healthy. It's just the nature of the position. But so far, so good. All right, that is it for today's show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow, we'll be back with your questions. So make sure you're sending those in. You can follow the show at Locked On Cowboys. You can follow Landon at McCool BCB. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. We'll see you next time.